Now, Johnny boy,
Yeah.
I think this is full disclosure, I own a property and I'm not a first home buyer, and, I got the, concessions and stamp duty waivers and all that stuff. But just from a 30,000 foot view of this, people with $300,000-$400,000 incomes are now going to be being able to use this scheme. It could seem like a slap in the face to someone on $90,000 a year. And, you zoom out and have a look, what could go wrong? More people in the market.
Yeah, well, if we step back a bit, we've really got four types of people waking up this morning. We've got the first home buyer that's excited by this news. We've got the owner-occupier that's already got property. We've got the tenant who's really at the bottom of all of this, and just how it all plays out as a tenant is can be quite scary. And then we've got the landlord/investor. So I think obviously the first home buyer is excited by this news, but the underlying message here is we still haven't got enough housing to serve the country. So when this sort of news comes through, and I don't want to play Darryl Downer on this, but I think the message is, well, the stats haven't changed. We haven't got enough housing. We've got massive demand, which has been fueled even more. It's been brought forward by 3 months, 4 months, and all it does lead to is price inflation. Now, probably Sydney is the only market around the country right now that's probably least affected by this, just because of the unaffordability of the market in Sydney as we speak.
Mm.
Yeah, I do think this will encourage a lot of people living in Sydney, though, to maybe consider suburbs that they can buy and afford in outside of Sydney. So, they might be going to, say, Wollongong and buying for $1 million and actually being able to enter the property market.
Yeah, so that's the $1 million question, isn't it? No pun intended. Is are they going to uproot themselves and go away from family and friends down to a Wollongong or up to Newcastle or Central Coast to take advantage of this? And in a lot of cases, they might say, well, bugger it, I am moving because it's so lucrative for me. That LMI amounts that you were mentioning before, Rach, that's extraordinary amounts of money to have to capitalise into a loan.
It is an extreme amount of money, but it's also the repayment. So the repayment that people are making are going to be substantially less because their interest rate is lower, because they're going in at an 80% risk to the bank rather than a 95%. Now, I guess I had some concerns about what was going to happen in January, thinking everybody's going to be there at the same day trying to get in. I also thought when the rates went down last week that this is actually going to give a lot of investors a chance to beat the first home buyers to the market and snap that up. And so I just feel like this change could be a really positive thing for first home buyers, because I think more people are going to be able to get in earlier and I guess beat those investors to the properties while they're still there.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, there was one of our BAs was saying this morning, they were going to an open home where there was 40 people at the open home. 10 of them were buyers agents, and was just crawling over each other just to try and get a bid in. It's pretty crazy times out there, and when stuff like this happens, I think people can get carried away and just go and take advantage of the scheme per se and just go and buy something. That's the concern for me is well, okay, are we just going to go and buy an asset? Are we just going to go and buy in any region just to get in and take advantage of it, to say that, yeah, I've got my own home, I've got some security, or I've got some certainty, I've got my great Aussie dream. We only need 1 or 2 interest rate rises the other way for that to have impact, because remember that they're borrowing 95% of the purchase price. So that fact doesn't change.
Yeah, that's an interesting point there, Johnny. The fundamentals with buying a house, you need 2 things. You need security, or the deposit, which this problem solves, a big part of the problem. and parental guarantee might do the same, all that stuff. But the other side of the coin, you need to service the loan. And while the government is effectively guaranteeing 15%, you still are getting a loan for 95%, plus maybe some stamp costs in there.
Yeah, I just had a text come through from one of my team that I was reading saying that they've got a scenario where there are a couple that haven't owned a property in 10 years, but they were in the market before, and they are also going to qualify for this. So that first home buyer scheme is actually still eligible for people who haven't been in the market for over 10 years. So you might have had bought a house, 10 years ago and needed to sell it, and now you haven't been in the market since. You can still use that scheme, even though you may pay stamp duty.
Yeah. We're going to take a break. When we get back, I'm going to ask a scandalous question. We'll be back right after this. Hey, it's Glen here. Thank you so much for watching today's video. You made it to the end. Can I ask a favor? Can you hit that like button and maybe hit subscribe if you want to get notified when we release further videos just like this one, whether you watch the Money, Money, Money podcast or Retire Right. And remember, if you want to learn more about investing, I've got an investing book, The Quick Start Guide to Investing, and there's a link in the description to get your hands on a copy. Thank you so much. Bye.